Welcome to another episode of the Glory Reds podcast. And in this week's catch up episode, we're definitely going to be talking about a draw against Brentford, which was an away match. We're also going to be giving you guys an update on Ineos, talking about Anthony Martial, whose contract is expiring this summer. So we're going to be talking about if we should give him an extension or should we just sell him. And then, of course, we're also going to cover up some of the Manchester United players that have been inducted in the PL Hall of Fame. Our latest is Gary Neville, so we're going to touch a little bit about that. And of course, we're going to be talking about the midfield situation, which seems to have been a problem for us this season. But yeah, without further ado, of course, I'm joined with my co-host, Ben. What's happening, my guy?
Was good, Pastor D. Was good.
Yeah, man. It's not good, to be honest. It's
Yeah,
not good. So I'm gonna jump straight into it. I don't want to beat around the bush.
yeah.
Yesterday's game, a lot of people, a lot of pundits, a lot of fans, have dubbed yesterday's match as United's worst performance this season. I don't know whether to believe that statement or not, because I mean, at the end of the day, we did draw, and
Mm,
it almost looked like it was a snatch and grab towards the end.
yeah,
We scored literally, which was in extra time, and then
yeah.
obviously Brentford came and equalized. But, you know, for the most part of the match, and I think that obviously the reason why they call it a snatch and grab is because Brentford was so dominant. They looked like the favorites in that match. It really looked like they're the team that were actually going to go and win the game. So when they scored that
Mm,
equalizer, it wasn't a surprise. It really wasn't. It was a long time coming, basically, for them because on three occasions, Brentford had, pretty good shots at the goal, and thanks to the crossbar,
yeah,
it
yeah,
really saved us.
mm,
But other than
yeah.
that, the game really looked like it was in Brentford's favor. In terms of the worst performance, it's really hard to tell. I get why people are saying it's the worst performance, but I don't think it was. And I solely believe they're saying it's the worst performance because they're basing it off our game against Liverpool.
Yes.
You check. So I think that's where they're drawing the comparisons from. But if you look at the season from a whole, I don't think that was our worst performance. I just think it was how can I call it?
It was a mixed
Um
bag.
yeah, it was a mixed bag, but I think there was a lot of what you call this complacency in that match. It's
Yeah,
we beat Liverpool. Let's go to Brentford. Ten Hag started the same team against Liverpool, which I'm gonna talk about in a bit. And then we sort of expect that same energy, that the same levels of performance. And in all fairness, like in the first 10-15 minutes, we did display that. You watch the first 10-15 minutes, it looked similar to the game against Liverpool. High press, getting the balls in the box really fast, looking for the outfield players, trying to find something. But
yeah.
at the same time, we did a lot of the things that we've been complaining about, even in those moments when we were dominating. For starters, the lack of balls that are being fed to Rasmus Hoyland, you know, so frustrating. On so many occasions, you know, the forward players were just not giving him the ball. The only players that were interested in trying to supply Rasmus with the ball were the midfielders. Everybody
Mm,
else was just they couldn't be bothered. Garnacho couldn't be bothered. Rashford couldn't be bothered, and it was just so disappointing. Literally moments in that match, you saw a lot of the time Rasmus Højlund drop into the midfield just to come and have a feel with the ball. You know, but in most of the of the game, they were just not finding him. They were just not. I'm not even going to talk about Rashford because at this point, I'm sick and tired of talking about Rashford. To be honest,
mm,
So yeah, man, that match it was disappointing to say the least.
it was.
So before I get further into this, is there anything you want to put forward before I talk about how my total feeling about the game?
Look, with United, it's very hard. Like it's hard in the sense that you hope these guys they give us these one-off games. They give, like, let's just take for example the Liverpool game. We went in there with a different kind of mentality. And I remember last week we said these boys can actually play. Like they can play. They just choose not to do the business. And we as the fans, we can't accept that. We can't accept them to drop, especially against Brentford. Like what was the point? We're going to play Liverpool again very soon. We're playing Liverpool very soon at home. What's the atmosphere? What's the ambiance going to be? Are we going to tap into it now because it's Liverpool? Oh, Liverpool, and then we're just gonna be like, yeah. What is it? So for me, honestly, I'm just disappointed in the players as a whole because they keep taking the fans on a roller coaster, an unnecessary roller coaster. The fans
Yeah.
support them, we push them, we're there, we believe. That is what you see, off camera. I'm just gonna bring it in, but off camera we had
No
our little
worries.
discussion.
Yeah.
And you I'm guessing you were asking me if where my head is at with regards to do I still have hope for the top four. So I'm gonna answer you like because it's in front of it. You see, D, I do have hope. Like it's the weirdest thing. It is the players that are just going out there and disappointing us. Like I honestly truly believe. Like I was looking at that game yesterday, and I mean I was looking at the how it was set up, and when you look at the stats, you look at Rashford took a long time to come off. Scott McTominay, I don't think he came off. I saw Varane came off. I'm assuming that was an injury scare. Uh, who else? Garnacho, Kobe Mainu, those guys came off. But then the
Yeah.
replacements, uh, they are players that we haven't seen in a while. And usually when we bring them in and then they have a bit of an impact, we easily go in and start saying like, why haven't we been doing this? Why haven't we been doing this? Why haven't we been doing that? And that's where we answer a lot of the questions. And one of the questions that we'll probably be asking is, no, that's not even the question because I think the issue is our midfield, but that's a topic that we're going to deal with in the later
Yeah.
stages of this thing. But I have hope. The players are the ones that are disappointing me. I still believe if we have Casemiro in that midfield with Kobe Mainu and Bruno or Ericsson or Mount, because at this point Bruno, I I don't want to drop Bruno, but at the same time I want to drop Bruno because it's now unbecoming. It's now like, dude, what the fuck? And I love Bruno. I do. But then something is just not right. And I don't know how is it that especially in football or a lot of clubs, managers just I mean he has explained Bruno is tenacity, is the captain, he works until the heart, he gives energy, he has mentioned that. But there are just some times where you're just like, look, man, it's not working. It's not working. And I don't think that the other players that are on the bench are that bad, especially in his position, because we've got Ericsson and we've got Mount. And I think in
Yeah.
that breath, I think people are getting frustrated with that because it's not like we don't have anybody to replace Bruno with. You understand? We have the players. He just chooses just to keep on Bruno, just like he keeps on choosing to keep Rashford on and hope that he will produce something and do something. Now, I'm not blaming him because every manager has got his players. Every manager has got those players that he just says, listen, you are going to start. I trust you. I trust that regardless of whatever's happening on the pitch, you are still going to give me the energy that I think this team needs. So I'm just going to keep on picking you. So I'm not blaming Eric Ten Hag on that. I'm now just taking this now on the players. The players are disappointed. The players, they just couldn't be us. I don't know why. I can't
Yeah.
answer it. I'm disappointed. My my hope of top four and top five is diminishing, but I still believe. And I know this is it's like a pipe dream or like it's too stretched. Martinez fit, Casemiro fit, every Luke Shaw fit, everybody fucking fit. No suspensions, nothing. That moment, at that very moment, I think we will see the best of United. I think we can go on a very good 5 games winning streak. We can. But are we going to get there? There are already scares. We keep injuring every player that comes off. We're always getting a player injured in every game. So if we're going to go, if we're going to keep on going like this, where we keep on chopping and changing and removing somebody getting injured, then I honestly do not have hope. My hope was really like the injuries will stop. I don't know why they're not stopping. I don't know why it is taking long for players to get back. This has never happened. Like, well, it has happened, but it has never happened in as much as it has. You know, a player comes on, picks up an injury, is out. Important player. And how do you expect to build a cohesion or to get a system or chemistry going when you just can't do that? So, yes, my top five and top four hopes are diminishing because these players just fuck. But I truly believe that those that are the key players that are missing are the players that are going to bring out the best in the players that are in there. Because it almost feels like because we don't have the starting fit 11, some players don't trust other players, some players do. I was watching Garnacho switching from right to left, almost disturbing Rashford. And I'm like, okay, but Rashford, you see Garnacho coming to your side, you're still hanging there. Like, why are we not doing some crossing? Like, why are you not trying to make, why are you just hanging back? Garnacho's trying, like, now you could easily say that there was no discipline, but I didn't understand what that was about. Like, I didn't understand the confusion. Like, the front line is has been the worst part of United. The attacking of United this season has been the worst. And the funny thing is, the place where we have been lacking in terms of players, where we have not been consistent, that is the place that is doing the business. That is the place, like the defenders. The defenders are doing the best they can because literally, I don't know how many defensive pairings we've had this season. And for the amount of defensive pairings we've had, it's surprising that we get some clean sheets and stuff. It's really surprising. So big ups to the defense, but a big shame to the forward pack. Now that's where you
Yeah.
now start discussing where the serious problems are. But
Yeah.
man, my hopes are diminishing. Yes,
Yeah.
it's true. And I don't want to
Yeah.
say it like that. You know, I'm it's 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 just it's the players. I couldn't
Yeah.
I by saying that I believe you assume that that is going to galvanize the players because if they're listening to what the fans are saying, if the fans they're listening to the fans saying, "No, we believe in our boys. We believe." That if that's not igniting a fire, then I don't know in these players. I don't know. I don't know where it is that they look for their source of inspiration. I don't know. But they're disappointing me, and there's nothing really I can say about that. Like I still think they will do the business. Like I still think we will ride until the end. But for that to happen, we will need to have most of our senior players in. If those players are not in, it's just not going to work. So
Yeah.
when is that moment that we're gonna have everybody else there fit and play? And because I do believe that if we have everybody, we're not gonna have these silly, stupid results. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. Yeah, we'll fight, struggle, but we'll win. It is
Yeah.
when we don't have these key players where it's just a mixed bag because it's just
Yeah.
because you look
Yeah.
Casemiro. Ever since when Casemiro was not there, we were losing. It wasn't good. He came back. We started winning. We won most of the games. The
Yeah.
run of games that we had this season, Casemiro was in there. He
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
off problem. That
Yeah.
should say something. But yeah.
Yeah. No, no, no. I get you. And, I want to build off from something I said last week. So, yesterday, Lindelof and Varane came off because of injury. That's the reason why they came off. I hear your points, but like I said, just to build off from what I said last week, when I asked you the question of, look, we know that these players are not 100% fit because if they were, there's no reason for them to come back from injury, start a game, and get re injured. Clearly, they're not 100% fit, right? which now brought up that thing of the Liverpool game was a once off. And that shouldn't have been a measuring stick for because you guys pulled it off, we're going to employ the same team against Brentford. And that's why I put the blame on the manager. And this is what I was saying in the last week episode. And I think maybe I wasn't clear, right? I never said don't go into other matches with the same intensity or whatever and all of that. I think my whole point was if we want to get to top four, we need to manage the team. We need to know when to go and pull those sort of performances and when not to, right? And when I meant not to was in the sense of I'm not saying that we shouldn't play with energy, high energy and press and really go for it, but there has to be a different strategy employed onto it. That was a once off. We had to go all guns blazing no matter what, right? This Premier League is a marathon. We're seeing it for the long run. And we can't talk or think in what ifs or, if only, you know what I mean? Or if we have this full squad, unfortunately, we are currently suffering from injuries. We're currently suffering from players being off form. We have to deal with it and we have to manage it. So when I saw that same team that was being put against Liverpool, for me, I wasn't happy. I saw it and I'm like, you know what? Not to say I went to the match thinking we're gonna lose. I honestly believed we're gonna win that match, but I was not happy with the same team that was used against Liverpool because I just didn't think it was gonna work a second time around. Because we have discussed it before that McTominay in that midfield doesn't make sense, right? Why should it all of a sudden make sense against Brentford just because it worked against Liverpool? The stakes were different. They were different. McTominay should have never started in that midfield, but he did. And this is why I was saying that when we go and approach other teams in the Premier League, still keep that same intensity, still play like yes, the whatever. But we could have honestly won that game if we played our football. But because we wanted to play the same way we played against Liverpool, that was our downfall. Because we're forgetting that these guys have got players that can quickly go off the break. We saw um, Ivan Toney. Those two players were causing us problems. In fact, we were supposed to seal the game off before Mbeumo was brought in to the second half because when he came on, the problems just became worse for us. They honestly became worse for us. Those guys were dominating that game, Ben. When I mean dominating, it was scary. It was literally scary. And for me, it was like if we just played our football, if we didn't go in that game saying we want to play Brentford the same way we played Liverpool, it honestly could have been a different story. It could have been a different result. Those guys had 13 shots versus our 11. Albeit, yes, we had the same shots on target 5-5. But you can really see how much opportunities they had to go at us and how many opportunities they had to actually shoot at our goal. It was ridiculous. The manager has to take some blame into this game. He can't think that that Liverpool result because with the players that he used is going to be the same situation. He knows Rashford is currently out of form. He's been out of form this whole season. He was only substituted off in the 80th minute. He wasn't giving Rasmus the ball. Why did it take him so long to get Rashford off the pitch and not bring in Anthony and not bring in other options, not bring in Mount, not bring in Ericsson? We could have technically beaten those guys if we wanted to. If
Wait,
we decided to
are you
play our own
saying
football.
are you
So
saying are you saying that he should okay, like you said, we shouldn't have okay, how was he supposed to approach it differently from the Liverpool game?
the
Was
same
was the
way,
same starting lineup, yeah?
no, the Liverpool
Yeah?
the Liverpool game was chaotic, right? And
Uh-huh.
that's why in those situations you find McTominay thriving because there's not really any tactical play that's going on in the game. End to end, fast pace, taking it's end to end football, you know. But in terms of technicality, we have the players. We have the players technically. Like you said, Ericsson could have started that game. Casemiro could have been in that game or even come in earlier, and we could have really gone at them. But it's like
I
we
want
went at
I
them.
want
It's like we
to
went
land on
at them
your
in the
point.
first 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, sorry. It's like we went on at them in the first 10, 15 minutes. And then I don't know. I don't know if it's energy levels or what. I don't know what happened. But it seems like as soon as Brentford got control of the game, it's like we're now scared to make advancements. It was a lot of side to side passing, not knowing really what to do with the ball, because it just felt like they always just wanted to find this opportunity just to break and go for it. It's like they almost thought that, you know, Brentford are going to do this give and take. But Brentford weren't. They were keeping their composure. They were keeping their formation. What you want to man mark you, want to wait for you to lose the ball, and then we're gonna do what we do. Brentford were playing like Brentford. We were playing like, again, this whole thing of play every game like it's a Champions League final. And I didn't get that. I didn't get the strategy, especially given the fact that the players on the pitch are not even capable of doing that. So why wasn't a different strategy employed into that game? A different strategy does not mean drop in performance, drop in energy, drop in achieving that goal, drop in whatever, but you have to think about, like, okay, that was a once-off quarterfinal, one and done match we needed to get through. We're now back in the Premier League. We need to make sure that we get the points that we need to get, and we keep on this marathon, on this journey. So why are we going there and putting McTominay in that midfield? Why? You know that Rashford starves Rasmus of the ball. Why are you starting Rashford when he's even off form, taking, again, shots from whatever? You know what I mean? Just doing all sorts of weird stuff. He's back to that thing of trying to take on defenders. You know that thing where he's one-on-one with the defender, then he tries to like spy to them or whatever, and he just does stupid stuff. There was literally a
Yeah.
point when he was in the box, and this is what like just made me like speechless, fam. Literally in the box, he kicks the ball on the opposite side of the defender. In the thing where you like kick the ball on the opposite side of the defender, then you like run around them, get the ball because you're faster. He does that in the box with no space to do that. So he's on one with the defender in the box, and there's like three other Brentford players in the box. When he kicks the ball by past the defender, what does he think is going to happen? The Brentford players are going to look at the ball at their feet.
He was hoping
Stupid
for a
things
trip.
like that, Ben. Stupid things like
For a
that.
trip.
Why did he do that instead of looking for a pass? The only thing Rashford is interested in right now is getting his numbers up before the end of the season. We can see it. Why can't Ten Hag see it? He's become a liability because right now Rashford is on that pitch to prove critics wrong about himself. He's not worried about the team. If he was worried about the team, he will be playing for the team, but he's playing for himself.
Mm.
Garnacho, the same thing. He wanted to be a hero in this match. Hero playing, hero. I'm gonna dribble,
Bro,
dribble, dribble, cut. This and this. We've got Rasmus back. Utilize him. Rasmus literally was bullying players off the ball, getting the ball back, trying to do a 1-2 with these players. They were not interested. And then we end up going and drawing the match. The only positive thing I was happy about was Mount coming in, doing what he does best, scores out his first goal, thinking that, you know what, we're going to snatch and grab Dololo, you know. Brentford
I'm not going to
afterwards
go
go
in
and
too much on the
concede. And
kid.
so, look, I'm not, obviously, I'm not, trying to put a witch hunt against Garnacho. I love Garnacho, but I'm just
I
saying
know
in
what you
that
mean.
game, it is what it is. He didn't play well. I'm not going to give him, I'm not going to praise him for no reason. I'm not going to, slack on him. Yes, I know he's young. I know he still has a lot to learn. I get it, but again, this is the Premier League. This is Manchester United. You need to learn fast. You can't take your time and whatever. And I think you even said it before in one of some episodes that we spoke about. And I know obviously fans and critics will speak harshly and more calm about other players because of favorites and whatever. But if we just boil it down and talk, I mean, look how long it took you, Ben, to really start criticizing Bruno. Before you'd leave him and say it's fine because what he's done for the club since he came, whatever. But it was very difficult for you to be like, okay, he's had a bad game, and for you to acknowledge it and come out and say, look, you had a bad game. You know what I
No,
mean? And I think the
like
fear
hey,
also comes from
with Bruno, the reason why I don't go in too much on him is the fact that regardless of his bad performances, I am still satisfied with what he put. Like in terms, like
yes,
okay, everything else didn't work out, but my dude, you didn't
yes,
show
no,
like you didn't care. You
fair
understand?
enough,
And in that
fair enough.
way, it's very like, yeah. But then his
Yes, fair
performances
enough.
have been poor this whole season.
Yes, no,
Like I will
100%,
sit here and
100%,
say, yeah, they've
100%.
not
So
been Bruno. Yeah,
exactly. So these guys, and like you said, the only way this thing is going to work in terms of us getting into top four and whatever, if and you've also said if these players are not going to listen to the manager, then they need to be on the bench and
yeah,
to it gets into their heads
yeah,
because we've got
yeah.
Rasmus back, but they don't want to give Rasmus the ball. Yet he's the one fighting for every second ball, dropping into the midfield, collecting the ball, giving the ball to these players, you know, trying to make the good
Nah,
work going up front, and then they go and fumble it all because they don't want to give him back the ball. We're playing Brentford, and I don't want to take anything away from Brentford, but we're playing Brentford. We have a better team than them. We were supposed to get the game over the line, but
do
we
we?
didn't. Why?
Do,
Because this whole
do
thing,
we
and
though?
I honestly believe that that Liverpool result was why we lost against Brentford. Was this thing of we're just gonna go there, you know what I mean? Same team, bombard forward, and then Brentford is like, look, this is not a once-off game. You know, us we're gonna continue playing our football. We're gonna man mark, we're gonna sit back, you know what I mean? And we're gonna do what we need to do. But if you guys are just gonna come here and think this is gonna be a chaotic game, it's not. It's a Premier League game, not some quarterfinal, semi-final. No. That's how
But
Brentford treated
again,
it, and that's why Brentford won the what managed to get a point.
We're playing away, man. You know, our away
I get
record is not that good. And
I
if you look
100%
at
get
all
that.
the if you look at all the results that happened yesterday, I don't think there's any away team that won. It's like draws or stuff. And we just came back from this international break. So
Yes.
I really do understand the frustration. I do understand where people are coming from. But at the same time, I understand. You know, let's see the next game. What's our next game? I think the next game is
Chelsea.
Chelsea. We're playing
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. That one is going to
Yeah.
be an interesting one. I actually
It
think the
will.
energy levels are going to be different. Now, will that be because it's just Chelsea? Is it because we're playing the Blues? Do we have something to prove because it's a big a top team? I don't know. But I you know, like with Bruno, I'm surprised he was given all the time that he was given to rest, and
Mm.
still, but he was not bad. Yesterday, he wasn't that bad
But
that
remember he
people.
also he played during this international break.
Only played one game, and then he was sent away.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was sent home. Yeah,
Yeah.
played one game. I think he provided 2 assists and scored a goal,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
sent him away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he played very well in his international break. So I don't understand what is this. He's now becoming Pogba. He's becoming like these English players that always go and perform when they're with the English camp. Like that's not how it looks like. But there's
Yeah.
nothing really wrong with Bruno. I swear.
There
Like that's
is
why it's
nothing.
hard for me to
There's nothing.
it's hard
Yeah.
for me to really go in on Bruno. Like because I'm trying to look for the flaws. Yes, they're there. But then if you look at him as the player, it's just his levels that have dropped, which is a case for a lot of players that come to United. They suffer from this
Yeah.
thing. It's almost like a disease. It's a pandemic. It's
Yeah.
contagious. You come into the club and then this virus just comes on you, and then you also just become a puppet player. It's
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard for me to really go in on Bruno. But look at him, and
Yeah. No.
even his
No.
ratings
I
yesterday, they
100.
were on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
No, I
just
get it,
not
and
working.
it's not working. And like I've said before, and I'll continue saying, it's just the players around him. How do you expect him to have a good performance when he's coupled with McTominay, Rashford there who doesn't want to pass the ball? You know what I mean? It's becoming so.
You can also pay attention to a lot of the give me's, the one twos that he's trying to create. Look
Yeah.
at the way he's trying to create the move.
Yeah.
He's creating it and trying to move forward. And then let's say he'll give it to Rashford. That is the
Mm.
biggest one. That because
Yeah.
usually either he doesn't get the ball back or
Yeah.
something, or even Garnacho.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that guy's brain is
Mm.
mint.
Yeah.
Bruno's
Yeah.
brain and the way he plays football, I like it. It's just
100%. Yeah.
unfortunate. I get the frustration. I really do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But anyway, it is what it is. We drew yesterday. At least we managed to get a point. At least we never managed to drop points. At least we managed to get a point.
yes,
So it's something. You know what I mean? It's something. We take it, we keep on moving, and we just hope that when we face Chelsea, you know, something, something different can happen. And it's just so unfortunate that we don't even know if Varane is going to be available. We don't know if Victor Lindelof is going to be available. We don't know how fit Licha is. because obviously
He's not.
Licha had to come
No,
on
he's
because
not.
Lindelof got injured. So we had no other player to put in that game. You get, and I don't think he was gonna put Kamwala because at the stage when Licha came in, like I said, Brentford were just all over the place. Brentford were just like every second ball they got, they were just bombarding forward. They were not wasting time. So I think that was probably going to be a bit too much pressure to throw the kid into that mix. So yeah, man. But anyway, it is what it is. But speaking more into that, let's move on to our next topic, which is United midfield. You know,
Yeah,
um, I think that's definitely been a call of concern for us this season. Last season, we had it
yeah,
nailed down with Ericsson, Casemiro, and Bruno. That system really
yeah,
worked for us last season. This season, we brought in Kobe into the system. We brought in Mount into the system. We brought in Sofian Amrabat into the system. He hasn't yet,
yeah.
well, he has played, but he hasn't really yet found his footing and his ground into this side. And with less than 10 games left, and also that the fact that he's on loan, I man, I don't know. I don't even know what the status with him is. I don't know if he's not fit. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know what the situation is. He was on United's bench yesterday, but he wasn't brought on. So I don't know what it
Mm,
looks like. But yeah, man, I think since this is the topic that you really wanted to touch on, I want to let you spearhead this one. Like
yeah.
what exactly, you know, the midfield. You know what I mean? What's going on? What's your hope for it? What do you want to see happen to make it a better midfield for us?
This one is I don't know if what I'm going to say is going to rub anybody the wrong way, but I hope people can hear me out. I'm not trying to stir up an agenda or anything like that in any way, but yeah. I believe our best midfield at Manchester United consists of Bruno, Kobe Menu, and Casemiro. That midfield alone is mint. I think that midfield can actually win you a Premier League. This is one of the statements I was saying that people might not agree with me, but yeah, I think that midfield can actually win you a Premier League, provided they don't get injured. If they can play all games with that midfield, I think we can do wonders because you've got a creative in Bruno Fernandes, who is he's a mint number 10. He knows he reads the game faster than certain people. And then you've got this upcoming player in Kobe Mainu, who is a box to box, a carrier. He can play in that sitting position, but he's not really a special. He's not a Kobe Mainu is Frankie De Jong. Remember how Eric Ten Hag wanted Frankie De Jong? Literally,
Yeah,
he wanted a player that can carry the ball. And Kobe Mainu can do that. He
yeah,
can literally take it from the edge
yeah.
of our box and carry it all the way. And then you've got
Mm,
Casemiro, the destroyer, the Rolls Royce, the V12 in that midfield that just pearls and makes sure that nothing crosses over into the front line, right? I mean into the defenders. Our substitutions then we've got Ericsson, we've got Amrabat, we've got Mount, and we've got Scott McTominay. This season, this midfield has seen the likes of Kobe, Ericsson, Casemiro, Amrabat. Literally all our midfields have been able to play in that midfield. Not
mm,
as much, but we've not been able to come up with a full like the strongest midfield like that. Let's say Chelsea, because Chelsea, let's just say they've got Gallagher, Caicedo, and Enzo.
and so yeah,
In Man City, they've got Rodrigo, Kevin De Bruyne, and who else? Bernardo Silva
Rodney.
or Phil Foden. And then in
Mm,
Liverpool, they've got Elliott, Sabotslai, McAllister, Endo. There are
Carpenter.
those certain players that are consistent in their midfield. And at United, we've just not had that. We started it last season was literally the first time we're starting to build this midfield and just have some sort of a proper midfield that can combat because we used to have McSauce back in the
Yeah.
days before all of this happened. Now, Casemiro gets injured, Ericsson gets injured, and he's also aging. Scott McTominay doesn't get injured. I mean, he does, but he remains the player that is there. So now Erik ten Hag is stuck with a dilemma. And this is the one of the things that I wish people could be a little bit lenient on the gaffer when it comes to this topic, because it's literally one of those things. This is how I see it. If there's a midfielder that is there and fit, I think he will play him. Now, I know that would sound strange because we don't know what's really going on with Amrabat, but yeah, but no, that point actually won't make sense, because if Amrabat is fit and he's not playing, then it's like, why are you risking all these things? Why are you risking playing Scott McTominay? So it's all about preference and what he thinks this player is going to bring in that setup. And I believe he really truly believes that Scott McTominay is the guy. How? I remember I explained last time that I think Scott McTominay is just one of those players that, and here's the strangest thing that people might not understand. A lot of the players that play are usually players that have done very well during training. You sort of are auditioning to play in the weekend. Now, if you don't have a very good training session, it's very difficult for the manager to lock his eyes on you and find a way on how he wants to use you in the next setup. It's very difficult because you're not training in the way that he believes that you are going to go and play and display. Now, it seems like Scott McTominay is always consistent with that. Unfortunately for us, Scott McTominay doesn't offer the one thing that we need him to have. Scott McTominay is handicapped here. Like, his mind is handicapped. He doesn't have that awareness. He doesn't have a midfielder's awareness. We keep on saying that Scott McTominay is a striker. He started off as a striker. He behaves like a striker. I literally, me, I was a striker. I believe if you thrusted me in the midfield, I will behave like Scott McTominay. Do you understand what I mean? Because
Mm,
you have to have that, like, the muscles in your brain that are midfielder-ish. They need to be working. You know what I mean? Not your striker. And Scott McTominay always finds himself in the positions of being advanced. He's always he's always combating a ball and going forward. He's always there and going forward. Those going backwards, he's just chasing players. He's not really like getting back into it. So that is the situation. Now, in Erik ten Hag's case, this whole season, I truly believe that because of the injuries, our midfield has been bad. Now, I know people don't want to hear that, they don't want to believe it, but it is a fact. It is something that we need to consider because it is true. Because I don't believe that if, I've been preaching this the whole season. Like, if we have our full team, we'll see things. It just is what it is. If we
yeah.
don't, then it becomes difficult. But I'm happy that we got to see a different side. Mason Mount coming in, he's given the gaffer a lot to ponder on. You know what I mean? He's given the
Mm,
gaffer a lot to think about. Like, yeah, this is something that we can now implement. This is something now that, because Mount, when he scored that goal, he was almost like a winger. He was almost like in Rashford position. Is this the
mm,
opportunity now for us to drop Rashford? Because Rashford is not giving. He's not doing what he needs to be doing. So he gave us options. Ericsson coming in. If Bruno, because he doesn't want to drop Bruno. I mean, Bruno is not performing. Everybody can see it. All the fans, they want a change. We want to see a change so that we can decide for ourselves. Drop Bruno, play Ericsson. Let that fire in Bruno start brewing. Let him start being hungry to want to come back. But we try Ericsson, we see. If it doesn't work, then everybody knows that it doesn't work. Like, nah, we tried to get Ericsson in this situation, but he doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have this. We see it. But then just denying these players without even giving them an opportunity is where the problem is. I think this is what people are failing to have. Yeah, man.
yeah. Um, with that Ericsson point, don't you think it's a bit too late in the season to actually experiment with that? Because we can't
No,
that should have been an experiment that should have happened earlier on during the season. to see if we can have that balance, that juggle, to say, okay, cool. Some games, or maybe after X amount of minutes or whatever, I can bring Ericsson in this position for him to get more minutes because he's more effective in that number 10 position rather than the number
Mm.
8. So don't you think that's a bit risky trying this now?
You see, here's the thing. It is when will ever be the right time? Because we are always saying, uh, you see, like the times during Mata's time.
Mm,
When was it too late? Mata, you
it,
just be like, listen, there are no other options. Let's drop the
yeah,
guy in there. Let's see what he can do. Because,
yeah,
and here's the thing that even hurts me the most. Because Ericsson, when we played against Liverpool in that once-off game, I think he did pretty good,
yeah,
especially for somebody who is considered to not have the legs and stuff. I think he
yeah.
took care of the ball. We need players who take care of the ball. Ericsson takes
Mm,
care of the ball. I'm not saying
yeah,
Bruno doesn't. Bruno really doesn't take care of the ball. He would
yeah,
rather get it. He wants to release. He wants to get it out of his system. He wants to. He's a more. He wants to get things out. So
yeah,
it's in that breath that I blame the manager. Like, Jaffa, are you trying to tell us that this is all you have? Amrabat has come on, has shown moments that he has shown in moments that he can do the business. Why are we not playing him? Yeah, there's something about Amrabat that people are scared of, and I see it. He's that player that can get you a red card unexpected. He hasn't gotten us yet,
yeah,
but he's in that breath. Why is he not playing? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't suit the
yeah,
style. Maybe he doesn't suit what the manager's trying to bring in. But then you wanted this player. You were the one that fought for him to bring him in here. Clearly you had an idea for him. Clearly you had a plan. Where has
yeah,
that plan gone to? It's these
yeah,
questions that have just disappeared and we just don't know how to answer. I think that's really where the problem is. Because we've
yeah,
got these players in, we're not using them. They're just there. We are losing. We're using players in the wrong places. We're using players that shouldn't be there. And it's just building all these questions. And it's like, what do we do? But I
yeah,
truly believe our best midfield at Manchester United consists of Casemiro, Maino, and Bruno. And if we're to do any substitutions, if we're going to do any of that, Mount will be maybe a sub for Kobe Maino or Bruno, because Casemiro, I honestly don't think he has a sub at United. Casemiro
no, he
doesn't have a
doesn't.
sub. He doesn't. Because when he's there,
Well,
he
so
performs. When he's not there,
Amrabat is his sub.
eh, yeah, he was supposed
So
to be.
yeah, you're supposed to be, but he's
He was
not playing.
supposed to
That's
be,
the thing.
but he's not playing.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I hear you.
So it's tricky, bro. It's tricky. And I just feel and when you listen to Eric Ten Hag and the way he talks about his players and all that stuff, you get the sense that, listen, this guy, he's just working with what he has. I swear
Yeah,
to you, when you just listen carefully to how he's going on about a lot of the things, you can just tell that, listen, we're in the situation that we're in. I can't
yeah,
really complain because this is Manchester United. If I complain, I'll be looked at as a pussy. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. Um, with your take on the whole midfield three, I half agree with you. I think that should have been our best midfield. I don't agree that is our current. I don't. Okay, currently speaking, on paper, yes. On the field, no. Kobe, Bruno in that midfield, yes. Casemiro, he needs to be replaced. Yesterday when I was watching the match, I think for the first time I watched it with open eyes, and I could sort of see like what some of these pundits and stuff have been saying, and not completely entirely like in terms of how they've just been like butchering him, but in the terms of that he's just lost a leg. You know what I mean? He's lost a leg of
Who?
pace, and it was very evident yesterday. And I don't know why I only noticed it yesterday, but I believe if I go back and watch other matches, Casimiro, he has lost a leg of pace. And it's so funny that and look, I'm not calling him out. You know what I mean? Like, don't no one should get me wrong or whatever. Or
Uh, I
I
already have
I
a
res-
I already have a reply. Carry on.
I respect Kaze. You know what I mean? But moving forward, especially for next season, and I think I've even said this in another episode, that Casemiro needs to be replaced at Manchester United. He needs to be replaced, right? He can't carry us for a whole season. He can't, And I'm not saying that he's not gonna give good performances. When he came on, there was definitely a difference. The ball was moved forward faster. He was finding players. He was doing what he does. You know what I mean? But relying on him as a CDM, no. I think he's lost a leg of pace that is really going to count moving forward in the Premier League, because we're at a stage where we're having these new crop of young players really get into their stride, and he's not gonna be able to contain them or manage that for a whole season. So going into next season, I can't see Casemiro part of that midfield three as our defining or starting solution in terms of our midfield, because we're going to be facing teams with these young boys who are very pacey, coming through the middle, and it's going to cause all sorts of problems for us. I'm going to see a lot of yellow cards. I'm going to see a lot of suspensions and stuff like that. It's not going to be pretty. It is not going to be pretty. I am not undermining the player. Honestly right now, like I said, currently yes. There's no one else that I can see in his position. But going back to that statement where you said that front three wins us the Premier League, no. Casemiro.
Okay,
That's
so
that's
who's
the
the
that's our obstacle. So going into next
who's the
season, yes,
uh,
currently, yes, that's what I'm saying. That look, right now we don't have a player in this position. I agree with you. I'm not saying whatever. I mean, the season is over. I mean, obviously you're talking about in the sense of a brand new season, start to end. If you have to start a season with the midfield three, Casemiro for me is not in that conversation of if we have this three for the whole season, we're gonna win. No, and for me, like I said, that stumbling block is Casemiro, and that's not taking a knock at him as a player. It's just taking a knock at where he's currently is in his football career. He's just not
mm,
that. He's not at his prime. He's steadily on the decline. Steadily, you know what I mean? And like I said, because he's steadily on the decline, and we have this, what you call this, like I said, crop of these new talented players, coming through in the league, it's going to be a problem for him. You know, he's not that CDM that we need to say this is the CDM that we need for the whole season for us to do what we need to do. Classic example, and I don't want to stretch this out too long. Look at Arsenal. They got Declan Rice. Declan Rice, young, in his prime, doing his thing. It's no coincidence why Arsenal are number one. You understand? They needed that missing piece to the puzzle in that midfield. They needed that type of a CDM, and they got him. Arsenal are sitting number one on the table. If they continued with Xhaka or anybody else or whatever, it was not going to happen. Regardless of how good a midfield CDM Xhaka was or whatever, it was not going to happen. So, as much as I love Casemiro, I love my club more, and I'm not going to you know fixate or whatever about what this. Obviously, yes, it's a dream midfield three, but if Casemiro's at his prime, but he's not. And
I've got a
these are
question
the,
for you.
the these are the difficult, hard decisions that this club needs to make, and that the fans need to understand that Casemiro, as much as we hate it, he needs to be replaced in order for us to get where we need to get. Not to say sell him, we can see he can still utilize him in games, but he's just not that fixed midfield three that we need.
Look, if the club plan on bringing in a replacement for Casemiro, all well and good. But if they're
Yeah,
not,
hundred
Casemiro
percent. He
starts.
starts. 100%. I'm not gonna argue that he starts.
That's where my mind was at. Because with
Yes.
United, when I speak on United, I always speak in the sense that we're not doing anything. I always speak in
Yeah.
the sense that we are working with what we have. Like I don't like to talk about who we are going to bring in because we just never know with United. I've reached that point with
Yeah.
United where it's hard for me to be like, okay, if we get this player in, this is what we're going to do. We did that with Amrabat. He has come in. It was okay in the beginning, but then now it has just faded. So I
Yeah.
don't I don't speak I don't speak on United in the future tense, like
Yeah.
in the terms of the future. I don't know what Ineos has planned. I don't know who they're going to bring in, whether to be part of it to be Eric Ten Hag signing or what. I don't know.
Yeah.
But one thing I will remain consistent, and this is what United has been doing throughout the years. They've
Yeah.
always dealt with what is in there. We've been force fed McSauce,
Yeah.
McFred. We've
Yeah.
been force fed Magalov. We've been
Yeah.
force fed a lot of things, and those things have always been there. In fact, those situations have actually turned the fan base against each other because we
Mm.
fight amongst each other because of what those guys are doing. So I always plan, or I always say what I say in the breath of like, say if nothing changes, say our team remains the way we are, because usually and normally, most of the time, Manchester United, we always have to deal with what we have. We still have
Yeah.
Scott, we still have Maguire, we still have players that are in this club that should have been
Yeah.
gone but are not gone. They're still
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we are now here pushing. Hey, we want them gone. They're not going. They're not going. They're here. So I always had this mentality of like, okay, fine. This is how United deal with things. When they have got a player that they want, they'll bring that player in, regardless. We will be
Yeah.
forced to like this guy. We'll be forced to understand why they made that decision, why he's here. The manager will come there, back him up. I don't know, like if he's part of it or what. I still believe that clubs have this thing where they just buy players and not consult the manager. I still do that. I still believe that. But then again, in that same breath, it's like if we don't get the players, we're gonna have to stick with what we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've got Rashford not Rashford we've been told unsellable. Scott McTominay
Yeah.
we've been told unsellable. Bruno Fernandes we've been told unsellable. These are three
Yeah.
players that currently, when you look at their football, it has been questionable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Apart from Scott
Yeah.
McTominay, because he's been our. I mean, you can't really shit on Scott in a way because he has stepped, like, he's
It's not his
produced the
fault.
goods. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not his fault that he's a
It's not his
striker
fault that
playing
he's
in mid.
playing in mid. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you know what I mean? So I don't blame him. Then Bruno, he's dipped, like he's dipped in form or dipped in whatever it is. And then there's
Mm.
Rashford who just couldn't give a toss. These are three
Mm.
players who we have been told are not being sold. So we can sit here until the cows
Yeah.
come home and complain all we want. Those players are not going. But then when we discuss and want to make plans and changes, those players are in that conversation. We need them dropped. We need them gone. We need them this, but we can't because we have to have them. So in that breath, that's why I put Casemiro in there because I'm like, listen, Casemiro for me right now at the moment in United, without Casemiro, we don't have the points or whatever it is that we have on that league because
Yeah.
we have performed, and people can take this whether they want to take it or not. Like, I'm not forcing you, but it's almost like, I don't want to say it's a fact, but it's right there in front of you. We have done better or have performed when Casemiro is in that pitch.
Hundred
It is a
percent.
fact. If he's not there, we struggle. So we have a player, one player, that makes things change for us. And if you don't, if we, I mean, we haven't realized, I mean, people don't realize we're thinking about other stuff, but we have that one player that changes for us. Now we remove this player without replacing him or without even thinking about how we're going to put the one player that somehow, when he's on the pitch, things work. That's where my argument is. So for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
Casemiro is undroppable. Casemiro is undroppable until you bring a defensive midfielder that I and I was about to ask you a question, D, before you think. I was like, okay, so D, in that same breath and sentence that you mentioned, have you thought about a midfield or a CDM that we could replace at Manchester United that we are thinking of?
Mm. Mm.
And I'm sure
I
your
haven't.
answer is like, no, United are not thinking about a defensive mid. And that's where my issue is. Because if we were thinking about a defensive midfielder, thinking to replace like number one priority kind of shit, then I would be like, you know what? At this point, we can start
But
making
you
way
know,
for us to move away from Casemiro. But
yeah.
we are
No.
not in that discussion.
I
So
hear. I hear what you're saying, but I don't think there's anything wrong with me calling it out. You know, and I do know that if we sell Casemiro, he needs to be replaced, right? I think it goes without saying. Like, I'm not putting it out there like, oh, we need to sell Casemiro next season. No, right? Because I was basically addressing that statement that you made when you said that 3 wins us a Premier League, right? And then I said, I don't think that 3 wins us a Premier League, right? And obviously, we're not talking about this season. We're obviously talking about next season if we're starting a fresh season, right? That 3 gets us into top 4. But if we're going to have a conversation about winning the league, then obviously change needs to happen, right? And for me, the change that I see that needs to happen is Casemiro out of those 3, right? I don't know in
Okay.
top of my head, I don't know a list of CDMs, and honestly, that's not my job. I'm the fan. That question has to go out to the people who are
No,
scouting, the
you
people who are
can't
going to
say
buy
that because
whatever, you know.
no, you can't
Okay,
say that
okay,
because
no, let me finish.
we are
Let me
trying
finish.
to figure out
Let
if
me
we lose Casemiro, what's the
no, let me
solution?
finish.
So
Let me
if we get
finish.
rid of Casemiro and we're not
Let me finish.
replacing
Let
him,
me finish. Let me finish. Right? Let me finish. The solution is not complicated. Like I said, you get rid of Casemiro, you get a replacement, right? And you know what? I think you're even twisting my words because I didn't even say get rid of Casemiro. I said that we need to get another CDM, right? Because I even further went to say that Casemiro can still play. So I wasn't insinuating on getting rid of Casemiro. I said we need to bring in another CDM because Casemiro is not going to hold it down for the whole season. We finished in Champions League. You want Casemiro, Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao, everything. Those 3. At the stage Casemiro is in his career. We've
look, it is
barely
pick
had
one now.
Casemiro. We've barely had Casemiro for this season. Barely had him. What's going to change next season? Is he miraculously all of a sudden going to be playing all the games next season?
I
We
no,
need,
if we
we
don't,
need,
if
and
we
and and
if we
that's
get
why,
rid of
and that's why I was
Casemiro
saying,
too,
and
if
that's
we
why I was
don't
saying that
replace
we
him,
need. And
let
that's
me
why,
see.
and that's why I said we need another CDM. You see, that's why I even backtrack because I'm like, no, actually, you took the words, you put words into my mouth because when we're having that conversation, I never said get rid of him. I said we need to go and get another CDM
If I
because I
remember,
further went,
I didn't hear
I
you say we
further
need to go and
because
get. You just
because I
said that
further
we
went, and the reason why I'm saying that, because in that same conversation, I even said Casimiro can even be playing some of the games. So it wouldn't make sense for me to have said, let's get rid of him and then he still plays. But how is he still playing if I've got rid of him? You
no,
get what I
I
mean?
didn't
But
put words to it. Because,
my whole point was that we need to bring in another CDM. We can't rely on Casimiro into the next season and then expect to win the league.
okay,
We can't expect
for
that.
me,
And that's the
okay,
point that I was trying to put across.
okay. So in okay in that same breath, okay, because again, I mean, I understand where you are coming from in your sense. In your sense, I mean, in the way you are thinking about replacing Casemiro, you are you are thinking that the club are going to do right by that position,
And
right?
yes, that's what I believe. That's what I believe because obviously going into the transfer window is going to be different than before. Because obviously the Ineos have taken over, so Jim is now in charge of things. They're bringing in new directors of football. They're bringing in scouting people. It's going to be a different transfer market. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it's going to be, right? So I'm believing that when we go into the transfer window, because there've been all these rumors about, hey, all these players need to leave, blah, blah, blah. I'm assuming that, okay, they've got a plan. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not saying get rid of Casimiro and not have a replacement. That doesn't
How
make
many
sense,
times have we
right?
thought United have got a plan?
Yeah, but Ben,
That's
that
where my
was
argument is because I'm
but
like,
yes, I get that. But
I'm
remember, that was
assuming we
before.
don't buy anybody.
Look, I get
That's
that,
my
but that
okay,
was
okay,
look, I understand that, but that was before. Do you understand? We don't know what's happening with this new reign. So it's for them to prove us wrong. It's for them to do Foco. It's for them to sell Casimiro and not have a replacement. That's for them to fuck up. They're the new regime, right? And so for the first time during the summer, we're going to see what this new regime looks like. So I feel like it's unfair for us to be like, oh, but United have, but United, but yes, but it's under different management. It's under a whole different new system. So Jim has come out in interviews and says, my priority for this club is to make sure that we are winning the Premier League, we're winning Champions League, we're competing for big trophies. He's come out here and he said that. We never told him he should say that. He told us that. You get what I'm saying? So that should be reflected in the transfer window. So I can't
I hear
say
you.
this
I
is
hear you.
how it's been done. If we're still under the Glazers and Ed Woodward and whatever, I wouldn't be optimistic. I was gonna be like, "Yeah, we might as well keep Casemiro because nothing is going to change." But now that it looks like okay, it seems like change is going to happen and good things are gonna start happening, then we might as well come out and say, hey, kind of this problem that we've been addressing and hasn't been solved. Is it possible that you know what I mean? And I'm not saying Casemiro is a problem. I'm just saying as a whole of players that have been trying to get rid of the Scott McTominays, the Maguires, the Rashfords, the whatevers, and saying that look, instead of you just buying in all these big names just because the free agents and whatever, Ericsson's, Viran, Casemiro, and don't get me wrong, I know they've done good for us, you know. But what I'm saying is we're going to this rebuild stage, right? We don't need big names for one good season, right? We want to build something for the future. I would rather bring in prospects for the future than have a group of, you know, all-star names just for one good season. And then we're back to square one.
All right, man. I hear
Do
you.
you get what I'm saying? So I would rather
I
still
hear you.
suffer for the next 3 seasons as long as I see change. So if that means dropping Varane, Ericsson, Casemiro, and bringing in prospects that are going to be better for us in the future and for the future to come, to see that okay, we bring this player in, right? We keep building on this team, and the next 2-3 seasons, this team's going to be a championship winning team. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see next season we're finishing second because we brought in all these veteran old players, the Neymars, the whatevers, and then from there we're back to where we started. Now trying to get rid of them down big wages. This and that. What players don't get a chance because how can you drop Neymar? You get what I mean, fam? So
I hear
that
you.
that's where I stand.
Mhm.
That's where I stand. I'd rather break down and start from scratch.
All right. Those players that you mentioned were actually the players with the top elite mentality in our squad, and those are the
They
ones we
were,
tipped to leave. Once they leave, that team is back to square one.
they
But it's
were,
fine.
and I
Fine.
appreciate it. I mean, look at Ronaldo. Ronaldo
It's
was
fine.
our goals, and then we got rid of Ronaldo, and then we had no more goals. You know what I mean? He came in and he was United's top goal scorer, just like that. But anyway, that's the midfield situation. We just have to see how things, work out and progress, moving forward. Let's jump on to a player that we've had for a while, a player whose contract is expiring in the summer, a player that has struggled to find his feet in a United jersey. He had one good season, and ever since then, he has just been plagued with injuries. It's got so bad that even now, when we're talking about this player in question, I don't even know his status. And of course, that's Anthony Martial. Um, a lot of news. I've been seeing his name come up, this week about his status at United. Is he going to leave the club? What? And if I'm not mistaken, I think during the press conference, I think Ten Hag was also asked about the player. I can't really remember the exact statement that he gave about Martial, but it's not
He
looking good.
said he's,
You know,
he said he's back, but not training with the first team or something like that.
exactly. And when you look at the reality of things, the season is almost over. So there's no time for this player to come and still prove his worth to the squad. So my question for you, right, is do you think Martial still deserves an opportunity? So should he or should the club activate or initiate like a 1 year extension just to see one last time? Could you give us something, you know what I mean, for 3 more seasons, or should we just cut our ties and sell him? Because when you look at both scenarios, if we sell him now, he's basically worth nothing. He hasn't been playing, he's not fit, he's injured. He holds no value right now in the market. So getting rid of him or getting rid of him for peanuts. Or, we could take the risk, extend his contract for a year, almost like what they want to do with Pisaka, right? And then get his market value up and then sell him when he's off value.
What value? What market value? It's clear.
Market value, I'm talking about if we get rid of him now,
It's
maybe because it's Martial, maybe we can get him for 10. You know what I mean? But maybe
we can
after like
no.
half a season,
Regardless of that, we can still get Martial for 10. like 10
Yeah,
less
but
than that. I don't think
yes,
his value, like, bruh, with Martial, it's unfortunate. It really is. What a player. What a player he could have been for United. I honestly,
mm,
when we got him, man, I had high hopes. He
yeah,
was the next best thing. He
yeah,
did some Thierry Henry. I was so excited. I was like, we have our own Thierry Henry at United. I was like,
yeah,
fuck, this is
yeah.
this is it. Unplayable Martial.
Mm,
But man, unfortunately for him, man, these injuries just don't seem to give him a break. And I'm
yeah,
sure when he retires and he start talking about football, he will mention these things. I think he'll tell us
yeah,
what really went down. We'll have a bigger, a better picture about what was going on with him. But right
100%.
here, right now, bruh, adios.
Okay.
Giving him an,
So
I mean, if you want to give him an extra, like if you want to activate his thing and then want him to go for free, I still don't mind. Like I still don't mind having Martial there. And the reason why I don't mind is because of that unknown whether he's going to be fit or not. If I know that
yeah,
Martial can be fit, like if God just sent everybody a message in the world that Martial will be fit for the whole year, don't worry. You can pick him for your fantasy teams. He will be fit. If God was to tell us that, trust me, I want to keep Martial for a year. Because
yeah,
Martial fit on form, trust me, is very scary, unplayable.
yeah,
That is what I hate saying things like this. I hate saying when a player is
mm,
this, can be like
yeah,
this,
yeah,
can do this, can do that. I don't like. But Martial is a top player when he's on it. But 10 years, bro. What's 10 years now? 11 years. Because we got him what? 20. When?
we got,
2013.
didn't we?
When did we get Martial?
I think we got him at the same time we got
2015,
Van Hal, if I'm not mistaken.
2015, 14,
Yeah,
2013.
somewhere around there, somewhere around there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a decade. It's been a decade.
I mean, unless United want to have the same Jones situation, because Jones has been in that club for years, just in the closet, like in the at the back in the attic with all the old stuff. He was just there chilling, and then he just decided to come up. So it's the same thing with Martial.
Uh,
You
yeah,
know, like there's a player there, but then if you're not gonna use the player, like what's the point? You look at the season this far. This season we could have used Martial now in that front three. We could have. We could have. Like he could have added value, but then he's not there. And for that sole reason, we can't keep on dealing with some like it's like having ice cream in the fridge, man. And for some reason you're not eating it. It's there, but you're not eating, or maybe there's a section of it that is bad, or maybe there's like maybe algae or something, So you understand what I mean? So with
yeah,
Martial, bro,
yeah,
I love the player. I had my I had my back and forth with Martial. This love hate situation. Martial used
yeah,
to drive me crazy.
yeah,
But then it reached a point where I was like, but you know what? He's just a normal lad. I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't know why he has this situation. I don't know why he's injured. I can't
yeah,
seem to get it. He's not a pompous asshole on social media. He's down to earth. I don't see him in these weird things. He just seems to keep to himself. So
yeah,
all of that, I just leave him alone. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm just like, all right, man, just
yeah,
live your life. Oh, you're smiling today. Oh, cool. I like that. I like when you're smiling.
yeah.
I like when you're smiling because I know you're gonna do something for us. But other than
You're
that,
smiling
bro,
today.
I honestly think we can cut our ties with
Yeah,
Martial. I mean, we can sell him, get whatever it is that we're gonna get. The
yeah,
only sad thing is seeing where he's going to go after United. It's really sad when you see these players come from
yeah.
United and then they go to these pub teams or go to other clubs and then they just
Dude, like a
fall.
Fulham
You
or
know, it
something. Dude.
yeah, it almost looks like they were frauds. It's like they didn't deserve to be at United, and because they're gone now,
Yeah,
it's not true. It really is not true.
yeah,
So, yeah, man, we can cut our losses with Martial for real. Like it's time.
yeah,
Let's bring somebody else in there, and let's see, let's see.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
No, I hear you. I hear you. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes, because
man.
you loved. Martial, because I'm not gonna let you go.
Still
Like
do, still
our
do.
people need, our people know they need to know that my boy here loves Martial. So I'm sure they would love to
100%.
hear what you think on this
Yeah.
Martial.
So yeah, obviously I what you call this? I posed the question: extend or exit. With Martial, honestly, I think we need to sell him. I think we need to sell him. I think if there was any season that he needed to make sure that he was fit, to make sure that he needed to like stand his ground and whatever, give himself a reason to still be in this United squad was this season. More so with, the Garnachos coming into the side, more so with Mount being bored, more so with Kobe Menu coming into the team, Ahmed Diallo coming back. And I know these guys don't play in his position, but what I'm just saying is that there's something happening at this club. So
Added
he needed to
competition.
be fit for this season to show that he
Mm,
can be part of this new regime.
yeah,
And unfortunately for him, I don't know. He was supposed to work on himself during that preseason. You're supposed to make sure that he was. I don't know even know how he sustained his injury. Maybe it wasn't his fault or whatever. But again, it just brings me back to one of those things like when I was talking about the Casemiro situation. It's we have to let him go. Like I can't be like, oh, Martial, yes, like you said, you don't want to talk in the future and whatever, but you did say that with Casemiro and that front three will go win the Premier League. Same thing like what you're saying, a fit Martial and that fit in that top three is, yeah, dude, you know what I mean? But I can't talk
COVID
like that,
Martial is all I can
so
say.
yeah, I can't talk in those instances. We don't know what the future holds. You check.
Yeah,
So in that sense, he just has to go. As much as I love him, he has to go. We have to sell him. He has to go. Unless the club unless he honestly believes that like I said, you can look at this from many different point of views, but the point of view that I looked at it from was United are very bad at buying players, expensive players, and then reselling them. So my only thing was try to get his market value up and then sell him. So it is not even a thing of even if he starts playing better, we keep him in the side or whatever. No, for me, this has always been about get his market value up. Same thing with Rashford. I'm like, I want Rashford to have an amazing season so that we can price him very well in the market. But he's not going anywhere. Rashford's not going anywhere. So at the end of the
with
day,
Martial, the reason why I was asking questions about his market value is like I'm trying to understand how we can increase his market value. Because remember, Anthony went to Sevilla on loan and he didn't really do well. Like he has this attitude that is misunderstood. If you are not a
yeah,
United fan, it's easy for you to judge Martial without knowing the kind of person that he is. Now,
true.
within that breadth, it's like okay, other clubs will be looking at the situation with Martial. It's only those that actually have got a vision and they can really, really say that no, this guy can help us, like Greenwood in Greenwood's situation. If Getafe never identified that he could do something for them, Greenwood would still be just until maybe unless somebody else. It was always about waiting for for the person to make the choice and say, listen, Greenwood will want
Yeah,
you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And with Martial, I feel like it's almost going to be the same thing because it's like, who trusts Martial?
yeah.
Who? Like the only people that trust Martial or give him the platform, and that's why I feel like he's one of the luckiest players, is United.
Mm, yeah,
Like he has been able to be, like exist, injury, no injury, whatever, and just have
yeah,
I guess, a good life, you know.
yeah,
And he's like when you think about because when we bought Martial, he was quite expensive, right? I think he was in
yeah.
his
It
was he in
was.
his 50s or something. Yeah, he was quite
Yeah, it was
expensive.
like 60 somewhere there, 60, 70,
You see,
somewhere around there.
so
Yeah,
for it, yeah, and at the time for that player, for him, it was expensive. So you put all of that into consideration. It's like, really?
yeah,
You guys
yeah,
like he's not really like what can you say he has done for United? Because I mean, even if I remember correctly, Martial had a clause in his contract if he won the Ballon d'Or or something like that or Champions League, he would have
Yeah.
he would have like the club that we bought him for were going to get some sort of money from us. That is
Yeah.
how good he was touted to be.
Yeah.
So now you look at that and then the current situation that he is right now, like everything that has happened. I
Yeah.
honestly don't see how his value goes up unless there's a club out there that really is desperate for a player like Martial. And I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know, but I'm trying to see, I'm trying to understand like how his market value will go up. Like I
Yeah.
really like if he's 5 mil, if somebody says no, we're only going to pay five mil for Martial.
Yeah.
Like I honestly cannot sit here and say, that's too cheap. Nah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Because I don't know what it is that they see and what it is the evaluation that they've had of him.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, I hear you. I hear you. All right, no
Mm.
worries, man. So yeah, I think we unanimously agree that he needs to
It's
what you
time to
call
start
this?
playing.
Yeah. It's time to go. It's time to go. So
Time to say goodbye.
it's- yeah,
It's
man.
a wrap.
It's time. It's sad. I'm gonna cry, man. It's, for me, it's like a
Yeah,
Dave
no,
thing
I
for me,
know.
man.
It's
It's
sad. I mean, I
it's
remember even
sad,
with
man.
Pogba, bro. Ish, man, I was
Hey, man.
tired. David De Gea, I was touched.
Yeah,
Lingard,
yeah.
I wasn't, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
David De
yeah.
Gea, Pogba, I don't know, my heart. I'm just like, I
Yeah.
can't take this. I can't.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? Why?
Mm,
And
mm.
Martial is just another player. Man, I enjoyed watching him. I really
Yeah,
did
true,
enjoy watching
true.
him.
The moments when he was
Like,
good, it was good.
is, and he
It
would
was
frustrate me
good.
when he would sulk, when he would pull his face, I
Mm,
would be frustrated, and then he would go and
yeah,
score, fucking
yeah.
go. Then he would just, like ice in those veins.
Yeah.
It's, it's sad,
Mm.
bro. It really
Nah,
is.
it is. It is.
But I think there's
But
more
yeah.
that we need to talk about, like
Yeah, no, man,
Ineos.
100%. Let's move on with Ineos, man.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, we spoke about them briefly, talking about, hey man, let's see what happens in this new transfer window. I'm gonna get actually no. Sorry. F Hall of sorry, not FA Cup, PR Hall of Fame. Let's talk about that before the Ineos thing. I wanna leave that Ineos thing for last.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
PR
The
Hall of
Hall of
Fame.
Fame.
The Hall of Fame, we
Big
had a
topic.
discussion about it. Hey man,
Yeah.
it's and the thing is we can't remember, which is so weird. If we had this conversation on or off camera, but I'm pretty sure we had it off camera. I don't recall
We
us
did.
actually including it in the episode that we recorded. But basically, we're going back and forth about why certain players have not been inducted in the Hall of Fame and why other
Mm,
players have. It stirred up some
yeah.
debate, but we'll get into that like another time. We want to specifically about Manchester United players that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Because recently this week, if I'm not mistaken, Gary Neville got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I'm like, hey, man, that's good. Because if by my count, I think that's now four players: Peter Schmeichel, Paul Scholes, Wayne Rooney, um,
Okay.
David Beckham, yeah?
Even Roy
David Beck,
Keane was in there. We've got more
yeah,
players
David Beckham,
in that.
Roy Keane, yeah, even more. And then, of course, we have, what you call this, Gary Neville being
Guy.
inducted. And it goes without question why these players have been inducted. When you look at the number of Premier Leagues that they won under Alex Ferguson, some of these guys are part of that class of 92, that really brought United back from the graveyard, and went on a crazy 2 decades of just, unbelievable achievements under the gaffer. So yeah,
Mm,
man. I guess what we want to talk about is, these guys, they achieved so much. They achieved so much that it's man, it's uh, the accolades, fam. It's oh, I don't think players who played in that period for United. I don't think that any other players in any other competition across Europe that have managed to achieve the amount of success that those
yeah,
players achieved.
yeah.
And now,
That's true.
from past to present, we have a little young class of, I don't know what to call them, oh 03, oh 04, whatever. But there's something
Class of
brewing.
Gen Z. Class
You know
of
what I
Gen Z.
mean? Gen Z. Yes, yes. That's a nice way of putting it. Class of Gen Z, and we've got these guys who are coming up. We thought that time, during Rashford, Pogba, Lingard, you know what I mean, Makeda, Smalling, those guys look like they're the ones who are going to be the new successors coming from the academy. We had high
Yeah.
hopes for those boys. The list goes on. You know what I mean? Bo Butler, McClare, what was Tom
Even
Cleverley,
Johnny
man,
Evans, bro.
Johnny man, the list goes. You know what I mean? Like we had high hopes for those players, and it just didn't work out. It didn't work out, and now we got a new crop of players, and these guys look like they could be the future of this club. So my question is, do you think these guys are gonna have an impact in the league, a huge impact for the club, that one day when 50, 100 years from now, our next generation, will they do you think they have what it takes, you know, for them to be honored like this? Do you think
No,
there's even someone from this current crop of players that can even be inducted 50, 100 years in time into a Hall of Fame for this club? Not one
nope,
single player you can think of.
nope. The only player that I would
Not,
have
not,
said that for would have been David De Gea.
yeah,
That's it. I don't
yeah,
think. I don't. There's no player in that United team that will be
yeah,
inducted in the Hall of Fame. No one. No one. No one. Not
yeah,
Bruno. Not Rashford. Not Luke Shaw. Not Varane.
yeah,
Not Kante. Not Mount. Well, I mean, the likes of Mount and all these other guys, they still have time
yes,
because they're still young. But
yeah,
I don't see it. In
yeah, yeah,
fact,
yeah,
in fact, the only ones that will probably get into the league or in that breath are going to come
yeah,
from Man City and Liverpool.
yeah,
Because when you look at most of these inductees, apart from them playing 500 plus games, they've won titles, like serious
yeah,
titles.
true.
And I think titles play a huge role in there. Now, obviously, maybe Liverpool, you could say maybe no one will be there because it's just one. They just won
Mm,
one fucking Premier League. But
mm,
it's how they won it. It's how it was dominated and how they dominated the Premier League when they did it.
mm.
That you can't hide away. I mean, the numbers and all those things play a role in that. So I think Liverpool players like Salah is going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
100%.
100%. I don't know about Allison, but Salah, even Mane. When you
Is Aguero already inducted in the Hall of Fame?
well, he's next. If he's not,
The
he's
Coon.
going to.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it will be blasphemous. Do you understand?
dude.
It will be blasphemous if you don't put
Hey,
Kun in there. So
hey, man.
yeah, I I won't lie to you. Our team,
Yeah,
no one is
yeah,
stepping in. No one
yeah,
except David De Gea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, 100%. I agree with you. Current crop of players, and I'm gonna exclude Ganacho and then Kobe because they just literally came into the side because I think there's something there for the future. But when you talk about current crop of players, I think they've been a huge disappointment. And like I said, I don't think it entirely boils down to them. I think it's just years of poor management from top to bottom. That is just not, we haven't been able to continue the consistency of this club and what it built, especially what Sir Alex Ferguson built in his time. And then when you look at, the amount of managers that have come in and out of this club with different systems and styles of play and whatever, and who they like, who they don't like, and it's been a mess. So as much as I'm saying that it's not their fault, I'm also putting the blame on them at the same time because regardless of all the stuff that's been going on, it doesn't mean that you should be inconsistent, lose form, etc., etc., etc. That's now down to you, you know. So the
yeah,
blame is shared amongst
mm,
the two parties. It's shared, and I think rightfully so. But I do
mm,
believe that, man, it's you know what? I just feel stupid every single time because every time before I'm about to mention Kobe Mano, there's this joy, you know, there's this light. I feel warm, fam.
I
I feel
can
like
see it.
dude,
I'm sure
it's
people saw it
stupid.
when you were about to. I saw it. That
You
look.
know what I mean, fam? You
I,
literally feel like a Mugwanti, you know, like why are you blushing over some player? You know what I'm saying? Why are you getting all meek and butterflies in your stomach? And it's embarrassing. But I think that
it's like
just
a
it's test. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's testament to how good he is. And you know what? During the international break, when I was watching Kobe, because I wanted to watch him alongside Jude. You know what I mean? Because Jude is also phenomenal. You know, and I just wanted to see the pairing of them. It was mint. But you know what, Ben? What really stoked me was as much as Jude is so good and is playing for the Galacticos and everything like that,
Kobe held his own.
I don't know if it's bias, you know,
Nah,
but
no, no.
for me personally, it just felt like Kobe was just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Can I
For me, it
point
was
out
more
something
standout
though?
than Jude. You know, yeah,
They are two. They are kind of two different players in a
they are.
very
They are.
strange, similar way because they
Yes,
can do the box to box thing together,
exactly.
but they're different.
Exactly. Yes.
So
Yeah.
having two
Because
players like that,
Jude has this. Oh man, you know what I mean? I don't even know how to explain
dude
it.
is
And
powerful,
Kobe
bro.
as
He's powerful.
well. Yeah. He just has this like when he's on the pitch, he just has this presence. You know, he just has this presence. I'm here. You know what I mean? And everything is so smooth. You know, with Kobe,
Mm.
it's also so smooth, but it's dude. I don't know, fam. I don't
Nah,
know,
man,
but
Kobe
Kobe
is
Hall of
special.
Fame. Every time I listen to like
Ah,
every time I'm on YouTube and I see
uh-huh.
a Kobe thing from ESPN, Sky, whatever, Talk Sport, it's like no one has the
Has
audacity. No
said
one can
anything
even
negative.
yes, it's impossible. It's impossible. I've tried to find something not on purpose, but obviously just looking through stuff and it's like you can't find anything negative about Kobe opposition fans, pundits, whatever, they can't help but say this kid, my God. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how he's even able to just be him is just it's a mystery.
But
So if there's any
in a
player,
strange way. Mm.
yeah, if there's any
No,
player who has to be inducted in this Hall of Fame, it's Kobe, man.
he has to win though.
It's Kobe.
Has to win. Has
It's
to
Kobe.
win though. No, he has to win.
He has
He
to
has to be
win,
part
true.
of the. He has to be part of a winning setup. Otherwise, it's
Hundred
not
percent,
happening.
100%, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
did you want to
You know,
say?
with Kobe though, like with Kobe,
Yeah.
like he's a brilliant player. But
Yeah.
I've already identified some of his blind spots. I don't know
Mm.
if people have. I don't know if people are still blinded by how amazing and how mature he is. But he has his
Yeah.
blind spots. Look at the game
True.
against Aston Villa. He disappeared. Even yesterday's game.
Yeah.
He had moments, but he didn't put his presence. He didn't stake his presence there.
Yeah.
And there are certain teams that I like sort of seen that. It's almost like they just muffle him, or they'll just I can't explain it. But because of his awareness on the pitch, Kobe will always
Yeah.
try to receive the ball and do things where, like, in an open area, in an open space. But it's those
Yeah.
moments where no, I've noticed his moments. But he's so good that even those little things that he's doing wrong, I'm not bothered. It's because I'm just in my head. I'm like, you know what? This is something that I believe
Yeah.
in the next 2 weeks they're going to iron out because I
Yeah.
believe we
Yeah.
are improving at a steady rate every day, every day, every day, every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, Kobe is special. He's special,
Yeah.
special, special. Messi like special. Whoever you Cruyff special.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
special. He's
Yeah.
special. I just,
No, true.
I just, you know what I'm scared of, D? You know what thing scares
Yeah.
me is that
Yeah.
we, the United fans, we are never going to stop loving Kobe. We're never going to stop supporting Kobe. It is when he has bad games, and which he will. And it is that moment where I don't want people to tear him down. I'm scared. The British are very good at this. At this moment where Kobe is flying high, then Kobe, if God forbid something happens and he's not performing or like his form dips, because
Yeah,
people they tend to forget or tend to almost how can I what's the word to use when somebody ignores something that is obvious? Like they know that what is happening, this is how it is. They know the truth, but just for argument's sake, they'll just keep on saying stuff that makes no sense to aggravate the point.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
believe
yeah,
when Kobe Manu starts having a dip in performance, people are gonna go in on him. I do.
yeah,
They always do. Like this media, they always do. We thought that they wouldn't do that against Greenwood. They did. They always
yeah,
do. Once they build you up, they want to see you're human. Let's knock him
yeah.
down a peg again. And Kobe Manu
True.
seems like a very humble, down to earth guy. I just don't want to see him in the mix of all of that. People saying he's not good enough because he's had a bad game. Those kind of things. I don't know why I'm so protective.
No, I hear you.
But
And you know what, Ben?
man, I'm scared,
I
bro.
I hear
I
you, but
don't like the attention
you
it
know
gets him.
what scares me? What scares me is that Kobe is so good, and I don't think he's one of those players that's gonna fall. What scares me is that Kobe has the intelligence to be like, okay, I've been here 5 seasons at United. I'm at my prime. This club hasn't made its promises. It hasn't done what it was supposed to do. You know, adios. I'm off to Galacticos, and I'm gonna
He
continue my
doesn't
footballing
strike me
journey
as
there.
that. He doesn't strike
Ben,
me
for
as that.
for me, this has got nothing to do with loyalty. For
Okay.
me, this is just a thing of I've tried. You know what I mean? I've tried, but for the sake of my career and what I want to achieve at the end of the day when I retire,
And my
my best
sanity.
move, exactly, my best move, Galacticos. Do you get what I mean? So even with like Harry Kane leaving Spurs, yes, some people are angry or whatever, but I'm pretty sure there's a good majority of people who just understood the situation. Like this
Yeah.
guy is one of England's greatest players. How can he retire with no trophies? And you're gonna go in on him and tell him that no, stay here. Otherwise, we're gonna put you down for not being loyal. Do you get what I mean? So if Kobe at the end of his contract and United don't win any major titles and this club is not going anywhere, I don't blame him. My friend, go be a Galactico. Go
Okay.
and be what you were destined to be. Because
Mm.
staying at this club and holding you here just because loyalty, nah, fam. You know, go and
It's
be, go and be. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah,
I
so just
do.
before we conclude this section, I just want to
Mm.
correct myself. Gary
Uh,
Neville not inducted. He's a new nominee that has been put there for people to go and vote. So if you guys want to vote, go on the PL app, vote. I'm just gonna
okay.
read out the nominees real quick. You can vote for two people. So the nominees: Sol Campbell, Michael Carrick, Andrew Cole, Jermaine Defoe, Cesc Fabregas, Les Ferdinand, Robbie Fowler, Eden Hazard, Gary Neville, Michael Owen, David Silva, John Terry, Yaya Torre, Edwin van der Sar,
Ah,
and
ah,
Namande
ah.
Vidic.
Yo, Gary's not making it. He's not making it.
So yeah, so go
He's
vote two people. Gary, yeah. No, out of these crop of players, it's difficult. It's difficult.
man.
It
Robbie
really is
Fowler
difficult.
is in there.
Yeah, 100%.
Michael
Um,
Owen is in there. Yaya Toure is in there.
yeah. It's true. David Silva.
Andy
How
Cole,
how
Sol
can you ignore
Campbell,
David Silva? Of
David
course you've got
Silva.
Vidic in that conversation. You've got
Dinda
Cesc
is in there as
Fabregas.
well.
We can't ignore what Cesc Fabregas did for Arsenal. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he still holds the record or did De Bruyne pass him most assists
For
in a
what?
season or something like that. It's mental. So
How
yeah,
many
man, the
assists was it?
competition is stiff. Huh?
How many assists?
I
I know
can't
the
remember the
record was
number.
20 assists.
Yeah, I can't remember the
Yeah.
number, but I remember at some point Cesc had like his stats were just like fuck. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's go on the app. You'll see it on the homepage. You can go vote. You can only vote for 2 people.
Just
So
we
yeah,
win.
I'm gonna
No
vote
problem.
after the episode. Uh, I need to think really hard and carefully about this. Of course, obviously, I love my United, but you know what? I'm actually gonna vote now for Vidic, and then the other two I'll decide. So I made my vote on Vidic. The other two, the other two, I'll think about it. I'll the Vidic one was with my heart. The other one is gonna be with my head. So one heart vote, one head vote. So yeah,
Yeah, hey,
that's that's that's
that's
me.
going to be tough. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
now what people don't know is why we're bringing up this Hall of Fame, and you mentioned that we had a little bit of a discussion, is
Yeah.
because we're wondering why Giggsy is not
Mm,
inducted.
in the
Because
conversation, yeah.
Giggsy is the most decorated, he's the only most decorated player in the Premier League history. More
Yeah.
trophies than I don't know, more games than I don't know.
Games.
Like
Yeah.
he's right up there, right
Yep.
up there. He's
Yep.
sitting at the top.
Hmm.
How he's not in this is
Yeah.
what we
It's
were
baffling.
discussing off camera.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want us to just touch a bit on that, and
We
we
can
can,
if
so that
five
people can
minutes. If
understand
you can
why
if
we
you
were
can keep
having
it
this
under
conversation.
five if you can keep it under 5 minutes, go ahead.
All right. So we were asking why Giggsy. We had a conversation that this came about. Mark Goldbridge was complaining why Giggsy is not in the inducted Hall of Fame, which is very understandable. And we were also asking ourselves why. But there are mitigating
Mm.
circumstances that have happened before all of that. So people need to understand that.
Mm.
Giggsy had an affair with his brother, right?
His brother's wife.
His, yes. Sorry, his brother's wife. So, had an
Yes.
affair with his brother.
Hey, let's be specific here, my friend.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. He had an affair with his brothers,
Yeah.
bro. Now, obviously, I think he was reported or the news broke out, and Giggsy has been looked at in a
Yeah.
very judgmental way. Now,
Yeah.
the reason why we brought it up is because I was saying I don't agree with Mark because he was on the tip of like he Giggsy should be inducted because of what he did, not because of the outside noise or the outside things that
Yes.
he did. And I was like, but that is kind of like double. I thought that was weird because in the same breath, he doesn't want Mason Greenwood to come back to Manchester United. You understand?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thing of like, nah, he must go back and this. And he says that we don't want you Greenwood back at United because of what he did outside of his football, which is understandable. Right now, in this context, he's making an argument for Giggs's footballing prowess, right?
Yeah.
Forgetting what he did outside of football. And I'm like, so why can't we do the same with Greenwood? Put away all those things that have happened outside because, truth be told, that case is over. But you don't want him to like you understand where I'm going with this, D?
No, I get what you're
Like
saying,
we
and it's kind of
choose.
like, and I'm now remembering my response to you, and I don't know if you remember my response that yes, even
Uh-huh.
though the case was over, it wasn't solved. It was just dropped. Like it wasn't solved, guilty or not guilty. It just was dropped. You understand? And then
No.
when you look
Yes.
at the differences between the two, right, is that what Giggsy did was not a crime, right? What Mason Mount, whatever, assumedly did,
Greenwood.
a Greenwood, sorry, um, that is a crime. I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying he didn't, because obviously the
Okay.
case wasn't concluded. But I'm just saying the two
Okay.
differences is what
Nah,
Giggs did,
yeah.
not a crime. What Mason Mount did potentially is a crime.
I feel like there are double standards in a very strange way.
I hear you.
It's
I
a
hear you. I
delicate
hear you
balance
on the
because if
surface
you look
level,
at
but
because you a crime and the person is not in jail, the drug charges have been dropped. Like take it for what it is. Don't take it for what it's not. You know?
that's
And
the thing. It's neither here or there.
so
Drop
okay.
drop does
So
drop does
so
not Ben. Drop does not mean not guilty.
Cool. So now we are
Do you
trying to
get what I'm
understand.
saying?
Okay, no, cool. Okay.
And it does not
So we are
mean
taking.
guilty.
Okay, so all these things has
Yes.
been taken into consideration. Now
Yeah.
we sit here right now and ask ourselves, okay, why? It wasn't a crime what Giggsy did. What he did was nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, the first name on the list of Hall of Famers should have been Ryan Giggs, and he's not there.
True.
Why? If somebody can come and tell me
Uh,
why, and if they come and tell me that because of his extracurricular activities, that is why he's not being inducted in there, I think my point will be proven. Because you just said that his thing
Yeah.
is not a crime and all those things, which is understandable. But if people are going to look at it as something that is serious and can actually jeopardize your chances of being in the Hall of Fame, then what conversation are we having here? You
Mm,
understand? So
got you.
I hear you. You know, when you said
Yeah.
what Greenwood did was a crime, you know, when you just distinguish that, because to me, yeah, to me, it wasn't a crime because his thing had not been, it has been dropped. It would have been a crime if it
Yeah.
was somebody he
But
didn't know. No. Just
he's
allow it.
he's
Allow
big.
it,
He
D.
was he was
Allow it. Allow it. Allow it. You know what I mean? he
right, fam.
he is looked he
Right.
is looked at in that breath because of,
Yeah.
and that situation is not nice. I get it. I
Yeah.
understand. But his situation, if you compare it to Giggs, in a very strange way, his carries more weight, but for some reason, it's almost in the same breath as Giggs. It almost, in
Yeah.
a weird way, somehow carries. If we think that why Giggsy is not in the Hall of Fame is because of his extracurricular activity, because there is
Yeah.
no other reason on this planet to deny
Yeah.
Giggs a spot on that Hall of Fame. There is no. There is no. His football spoke. So tell us
Yeah.
why he's not there so we can break it down. And if you come here
Yeah.
and you tell me it is because of that, then
Yeah.
my point is slowly getting through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll
I
leave it
got
there.
you.
I'll leave it there.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. No, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Let's move on to our
Yeah.
topic of this episode, and I want to combine it with final thoughts. And this is obviously
Yes.
the Ineos group, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Obviously, we all know the story. He's got 27.7% of the club. He's going to be overseeing football goings at the club. And like I said, we're in a new era of dealing with things at the club. He wants to bring in a new football director, sorry, not football director, director of football at the club. So yeah, obviously Dan Ashworth has been the number one target, but it seems like there's been a stumbling block of late. Obviously, new is it Newcastle that is currently at? He has a
Mm.
release clause of I think 20 million in compensation that he's
It's change, man. I don't know.
so
I mean,
so
I've never
no
had 20
20
million
million in
euros, but
compensation is not for United. Sorry, that's not a release clause. Sorry, my mind is still thinking like transfer players and whatever. But if Dan Ashwood has to is it if he has to leave or something like that? But basically, Newcastle will have to compensate him 20 million. You know what I mean? And then I don't know if Newcastle want that money from United, for that compensation, and
yes.
then I think also his own wages as well. Once he gets into the club. So yeah, news stories out there, sources and stuff have come out and said, you know what, it looks like the option may not happen only because of the amount of money that they're gonna have to deal with getting Dan Ashworth into the club. And we all know Sir Jim has really put his foot down of late, saying that he does not want to spend excessively how United have been spending in the past in terms of bringing in whether that's personnel, staff personnel, players, managers, etc. He really wants to double down on that and start thinking much more, strategically and much more thoughtful moving forward with this club. He also came out and said that he doesn't want to be buying like the Mbappes of the world, etc. He wants to be buying the next, Mbappe, the next Haaland, the next Ronaldo, the next Messi, and not necessarily buying those players especially when they've already bypassed their prime. Because looking at players, Mbappe, you can argue, but when you're looking at players like Neymar, it's like, come on, we missed that window. Why are we entertaining
Mm,
this now? So yeah.
mm.
So anyway, so apparently in the transfer targets, that Radcliffe scouts are on the prowl on. Three names have come up: Joshua Kimmich, a midfielder; Jonathan David, what you call this, a goal scorer; and
Strike.
Kefren Thuram. If I'm pronouncing his name,
Turam.
correct. Yeah, Turam. Yeah. So his name also come up in the competition. So those three names are basically the three players that have surfaced. The three targets that Sir Jim is looking at acquiring to bring into the club. So before I even move any further, do you know anything about these players? I know obviously Kimmich, you should have some idea of him. Jonathan
I
David,
know Kimmich and Jonathan Davis. I know. It's the other
yeah.
guy that I'm not too sure about. Yeah,
Yeah. Same. Likewise. So, what do you
yeah.
think about these new transfers? Obviously, one's a midfielder, one's a goal, one's a what you call this, a striker. We obviously talked
Mm,
about there are certain positions that need to be filled in this club, right? And we're also
mm.
looking at young players. Do these two players fit your criteria? And I don't, what? I don't even know why I'm posing the question like that because honestly, it's not even about us. It's not even about as the fans. It's about how Ten Hag wants his team set up. Do you think these two players fit perfectly into Ten Hag's system, style of play, his philosophy, and what he wants in a player that he's looking to bring into the club? Do
Absolutely,
these two players look like the right move?
absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. In fact, one player there is going to solve the problem that we were discussing earlier on, the Casemiro
okay.
situation.
Yeah.
Kimmich is the most utility player I've ever met. He's like Daily Blind on steroids. This guy can play left back, right back, center back, defensive midfielder, box to box. But he can also specialize in that CDM position. He's been doing that for
Yeah.
Bayern Munich for decades. For
Yeah.
a decade. Let me not say
Mm,
decades like he's been that. For a decade, he's been doing that,
yeah.
and he's a player that I, in particular, have coveted for a very, very long time. You know,
Yeah.
I remember back in the days when Tony Cruz was playing for Bayern Munich, Thomas Muller, those days, those when they were younger, I used to
Yeah.
want them at United. I'm like, this player can come. I'll be like, Kimmich,
Yeah.
bro, is a player that I've wanted. You have no idea. That guy is
Yeah.
special. He's special in the sense that every time I've watched Kimmich play, that guy just does his job. No manga
Yeah.
manga. He looks like he's serious, bro. He's a fucking serious player, and I mean,
Yeah.
his experience in winning the top trophies and being in the best team that has just literally dominated Germany for I don't know. It's only this year that Bayern Munich is being knocked out of their fucking perch. But before this,
Yeah.
they have been dominating. So in terms of that topic that we're discussing when it comes to Casemiro, because again, Casemiro, we don't know what his future is. If
Yeah.
we are thinking about bringing in a midfield, in fact, this is the question I wanted to ask you then, because I wanted to ask you:
Yeah.
is there a midfielder that you have in mind that you think could be the replacement?
Yeah.
And my conversation was going to lead to Kimmich because he's
Yeah.
right now he's the okay, not the only one, but because of the situation that he's having at Bayern Munich, because in Bayern Munich things are just unstable. I think this is
Yeah.
the season where Bayern Munich they're really doing their homework and trying to figure out it's a mess at Bayern Munich.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's unstable, he's unsettled. If there's an opportunity for him to leave the club, I feel like United should grab that opportunity. I think he's
Yeah.
27, 28,
29. He's a 95.
29.
Yeah.
29. We can.
Mm.
I don't know. You see,
That's the thing.
Casemiro is
Because
31. He's 2 years
yeah.
older than this guy. So it's
Yeah.
like when we get him, we have to think about his age. Meaning, again, we also need to think about replacing Kimmich because we don't want the same
Yeah.
situation that we're having with Casemiro. Because you look at
Exactly.
Casemiro, I still believe he can play until 34, 35, even 36.
Yes. Yes.
I think so. CDMs are different, they're built different, but I think so.
Yeah.
So when you consider that, we still have like 4 years with Casemiro, 5 years, and then Kimmich. That's another. No, Kimmich is 29.
No, I was talking about
So
Casemiro. When you said 4 or 5 years, I'm thinking like we can get
no, I'm saying
two
if I
two
stretch
more
it,
solid
yes,
seasons out of him.
Okay, solid,
Solid.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And then he can be making his in and outs. He can
Yeah.
stretch it. Now with
Yeah.
Kimmich again, he's fit. I've hardly heard about Kimmich being injured, so that's a
Yeah.
big. You need players that are constant. It's like Bruno. Bruno's never injured. So
Yeah.
regardless of what you want to say about him, he's always there.
True.
So Kimmich, and then the Jonathan Davis. Jonathan Davis is a striker. He can play on the wings as well. How he will contribute with Rasmus Højlund will be very interesting to see, because I think they can bounce back and forth. I think maybe we need to adapt a different kind of striking situation, not have a lone striker, because this lone striker thing seems to not work for us. The striker just looks like he's just there by himself. But if you can have two strikers that are bouncing off with each other, I think Jonathan Davis and Rasmus Højlund can really cause problems for people, because they have the pace and they have that 1-2 thing going on. So that is very interesting to see.